All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Giving double honors to the apostles and elders of great millstone. Shalom to the hopefully elect. Shalom to all the brothers out here laboring in his truth with sincerity. Shalom to the few sisters that watch. Just coming back with another lesson. Saw this clip on Instagram of these bug outs. You know, it looked like some kind of lesbian convention, and you had this Christian out there talking to him. But, you know, they was going into making comments about like the virgin birth. But anyway, I'm going to show you the clip, and then we're going to go into it.
She believed what the angel said because of her trust and confidence, her faith, yeah.
Support us. Keep not doing this.
So like,
Oh my God, Mary.
Well, he didn't. The Holy Spirit conceived Jesus in her womb.
Did Mary give God consent to put Jesus inside of her?
She believed what the angel said because of her trust and confidence, her faith, yeah.
Support us. Keep not doing this. You need to be with us, marching with us, like Jesus would be.
I am marching with
No,
you.
you're not. You are distracting from the message that we are trying to send. Oh my God.
anyway, I didn't look further into that clip to see what the protest was, but no matter what it was a bunch of Edomites that don't know what they're talking about. One of the women said that God graped Mary. You know, just going off, man. But anyway, we're gonna get into it to disprove these non-believers and these Christians, man, because they have no idea of what's going on. As you can see, it says conception and birth of, it says Jesus, but we know it's Yahweh Shai. And man, we really can close the book on that. All we got to do is look up the word conception. Conception, Salakia. And you go into this word conception, it says conception. This is the AI overview. Conception in the context of reproduction refers to the process where a sperm fertilizes an egg, leading to the formation of a zygote, which is the first cell of a new individual. So you see that it's a sperm fertilizing a cell. So these people constantly go off, man. You know, the book can be closed after you read that on the virgin birth. But, you know, these people don't take stuff in context. You know, they just go with the myths, man, and run with it. You know, they don't look up words. They don't go into the deeper meaning of things. So we'll go to the book of, matter of fact, first let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 7 and verse 14. And it says, therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. It says, behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. So you go into this word, virgin. And it's Ilama in Hebrew. And it means a virgin, young woman of marriageable age, maid or newly married, you know. So basically that's it. And you go back to the book of Matthew, and we're going to get to that eventually, because it says the same thing in verse 1 and 23, but they use a different word. But really it's in the same context as Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 14. So we'll start at verse 18, and we're just going to break down a couple of words and go from there. So it says, now the birth of Yahushua Mashiach was on this wise. When his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Spirit. So let's go into a couple of words in this verse, we're going to go into espoused, as well as the phrase right here, came together. So let's see. Because these people, like I say, man, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, things are being revealed, man. Just want to give double honor to the apostle as the great millstone, man, for just constantly putting out lessons, man. Being a inspiration to the body, a perfect example of how we should be. But let's see, we'll go to was espoused. Go into this word espoused, and it says to woo her and ask her in marriage. It says to be promised in marriage, be betrothed. So he actually asked her to marry him. That's what the word espoused means. Because these people that have you think, that the spirit impregnated Mary, but that's nonsense. Let's see. Oh, Salaki, we'll go into this word, came together. Let's see what that means. Before they came together, she was found, she was pregnant. So let's see what came together means. They'll have you think that before they had sex, she was pregnant. But let's see what came together means. Came together, to come together, to assemble a conjugal cohabitation. Before they lived together, she was pregnant. That's basically what it's saying. Before they moved in together and became a family, so to speak, she was pregnant already, man. She was living with her family, and she got pregnant, man. Like they say now, you don't want to shack up with nobody. They used to say that, but now it's not such a big thing. But having a baby with someone and you're not actually married, ceremonial marriage was frowned upon. The traditional way of doing things, man, was frowned upon. So before they actually, let's see, let's go into this conjugal cohabitation. Conjugal cohabitation refers to two people in a romantic relationship living together without being legally married. That's what that means. In this day and time, they got their own definition of marriage, but before they actually live together, is basically what it's saying, man. It's not saying before they had sex. These people, man, you got to keep going over this stuff, man. Because these things still come up, even though the truth is out and information is flowing, unlimited, hey, man, brothers are putting out lessons constantly all day, all around the world. So the information is infinite, when it comes to these scriptures now, man, all the way from Apostle to on down. So let's go to verse 19. It says, then Joseph, her husband, being a just man, not willing to make her a public example, was minded to put her away privately. So what is a public example? What is a public example? He didn't want to make her a public example. He didn't want everybody to know she was pregnant because it was frowned upon to, have sex without, the traditional ceremonial way according to the law. So let's go into public example. What is a public example? Public example, to set forth as a public example, make an example of, in a bad sense, to hold up to infamy, to expose to public disgrace. And that's what we want to focus on. He didn't want her to be a public disgrace because she was pregnant before they did it the traditional ceremonial way according to the law, man. You know? This is simple, you know. There's no reason people should still be thinking that the Holy Spirit impregnated Mary. Totally insane, man. You know how a baby's made through sperm entering the egg. You know. So let's go to verse 20. It says, "But while he thought on these things, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph, thou son David, fear not to take unto thee Mary thy wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit." Verse 21, it says, "And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahushua, for he shall save his people from their sin." And we know his people are the Israelites, you know. Verse 22, it says, "Now all this was done that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying," and this is it, man. This is the direct quote from Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 14. This is what it's saying, but we're going to see when you go into the word virgin, they use a different word, but it's supposed to be alama there. It says, "Behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel," which, being interpreted, is God with us. So, you know, once again, this is a direct quote from Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 14. But when you go here, they use the word patros, I think it is, which should be alama. Parthenos, which should